Audio check, 1, 2, 3, audio check. Audio check, 1, 2. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to the Motive Racing YouTube channel. We are here for the 9th round of the GT3 Championship on Assetto Corsa Competizione here on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 platforms. We've got 14 drivers out on the grid right now, missing our championship leader once again, Jonathan Reed, who missed the race at Imola last Sunday, set at this same time, is also not here again this time out. So this gives Quideo and a couple of others another chance to close that gap in the points at the top of the standings here. But this is going to be a very exciting race, I'm sure about that. Lightblade putting it on pole position there, one of our regular reserves, one of the quickest guys here at Motive, one of the quickest drivers on PlayStation on ACC, and also one of the OGs back from from my league racing days, back in Robbins Racing on Project Cars 2 as well. He'll start this one on pole with SMT Maroon alongside him. SMT Maroon having taken his first win here at Motive last week, his long-awaited first win with the battles that he's been having with Jonathan Reed before. Always came out second best to him before, but took his first win in the absence of Jonathan last time out. He'll be trying to get ahead of Lightblade over the course of tonight. Slow Wolf lined up in P3, a good qualifying session from him. Quideo down in P4, the reigning champion of the GT3s. Got his work cut out if he's going to retain his title this season. It's looking like it's probably slipping away from him, despite the fact that Jonathan isn't here this week. I think that maybe it might be a bit of a tall task for him to bring himself back into this title race. But the 9th round of the season, a 12-round season altogether, so this is the 4th last event of the season, and it's getting to crunch time now. But with Jonathan not being here, it means that he still can't wrap up the title at the moment, which kind of keeps it going and keeps things in the mix as we continue to head towards the end of the season. But formation lap here, let us know in the comments, guys, who you think's going to take this one. Who's your favourite? Who's your money on? We've got Pete in the comments, says good luck everyone. Xander Fander says good luck to all. Derby in the comments, Derby Field, Derby Bay, racer in the F1 League on a Friday night, also races at Exeter. Good to see Derby showing up on these ACC streams, having a look at our other games that we got. If you haven't got ACC, mate, definitely get it. It's a good game. It's a little bit different to F1, a lot more realistic, more of a sim than what you have on F1. Probably, I mean, the cars are considerably slower than what you have on F1, but it's a very different game, different kind of challenge to it. Not easier, not harder, I wouldn't say, just a different kind of challenge altogether. We got Xanafander saying Quideo for the win. Pete Bibb says night race, I didn't know. Yeah, indeed, another night race here for the ACC GT3s. We had a night race at Imola last time out. We're following that up again with the lights here at Brands Hatch. Not too many lights, I've got to say, so these drivers are going to have to be careful with their headlights and get those to the end, otherwise they're going to find themselves in trouble. Xander Fander saying audio check 1, 2, 3, let's go. You know the drill, mate, you know the score, you know how this goes. As here we are then up towards the final part of this formation lap, and Lightblade and Maroon are going to line up side by side. Quideo and Slow Wolf on the second row, Scuderia Paul and ST12 Dash in at 5th and 6th places. We can't see the rest of the classification, unfortunately, just because we have panned away from that. I'm a little bit buzzing right now, delighted to see Hamilton take the win at Brazil, starting on 10th on the grid. Had everything go up against him at Brazil over the weekend, but still managed to come out on top from the back of the grid. I know a lot of you are not going to be Hamilton fans and are going to be a little bit upset with that one, but nonetheless, it should be an interesting one. Just gonna, we'll try and pick up that call in a minute. I'll try and respond to this call by text because I don't want to miss the start of the race. But here we are then, up towards the line we come, about to go lights out here. It's green, green, green. As Lightblade cuts into the lead here, holds the inside into turn 1. You got the Bentley around the outside there of Maroon. Has been passed by Quideo and he loses out there to Scuderia Paul as well. Scuderia Paul with a great start there, up into 3rd place. And looks like we're all clean through Paddock Hill and Druids at the moment. And so it's Lightblade leading ahead of Quideo, Scuderia Paul, Maroon. And oh, we got a big collision in the background there. There's been a big crash, a mass pile up coming through Druids. What's gone on there? Who's dropped down to the back there? I think there's been an absolute carnage there. Slow Wolf drops down to the back of the pack. He's had a nightmare start to this race. Looks as though Maroon managed to get through that relatively unscathed in 4th place, but it is Lightblade, Quideo, Scuderia Paul, Maroon, Didi the top 5. Didi's dropped a long way back. The top 4 have broken away from the rest of them. Didi leads the second part of the pack at the moment, with Raki there just behind him. Then we got Nilsson, Morphy in 9th place. Oh, Rompu's lost it. Rompu's round out the exit of Sheen's out onto the back straight, and it looks as though that's SD12 Dash who's just up ahead of him. No, it isn't SD12 Dash. It's another That's another car there. Stones there, and the other McLaren who was just getting it going there in front of in front of Rompu, but those two have had a mare, and Spuzz is down in 12th place as well. Zaloba well off in the back of the pack in P14. Not the first lap for him. Lightblade leads by 1.3 ahead of Scuderia Paul. Scuderia Paul's got himself ahead of Cordeo up into 2nd place, but he's top 4. Lightblade, Scuderia Paul, Cordeo and Maroon breaking away from the rest of them. And definitely not the situation that Maroon would have wanted, down to 4th place in this race after qualifying on the front row alongside Lightblade. Just going to quickly return this call from my boss. Won't be a moment. Once again, guys, sorry about that. Lightblade putting out a bit of a gap here. Got a 2-second gap at the moment over Scuderia Paul, who managed to get ahead of Cordeo on that first lap. Cordeo there running just about a second ahead of SMT Maroon. SMT Maroon struggling to keep up with the podium runners at this point. These guys got a bit of a gap back to DDTKU running in 5th, who's got about a second back to Raki at the moment. These guys are a long way ahead of Nilsson. Nilsson, the second part of the pack, really has always gone wide. Nilsson all over the place there onto the gravel. That will allow Morphe up the inside, I'm sure, as the cameraman decides to absolutely do a dance here. I don't know what he's playing at. The cameraman taking ages to get him, but I think Nilsson has lost out here to Morphe, and Morphe has got heavy pressure from Slow Wolf. Slow Wolf all over the back of them. These two having got ahead of Nilsson. SD12 has followed them through as well, so Nilsson down to P10 is showing him as P7, but that's the timing board in ACC once again being absolutely atrocious. He is definitely in 10th place. Nilsson is no longer in 7th, he is in 10th, and the timing board will update and show that in a moment's time, as Cordeo has got himself up into 2nd place ahead of Scuderia Paul coming out on the exit of Paddock Hill into Druids. So nicely done there from Cordeo, and there you go, Nilsson is officially in P10. QTKP RCNF LCPA, otherwise known as Wi-Fi code, otherwise known as Nilsson. They're losing out quite a bit. Raki on the back of Didi, 8/10 between these two at the moment, so those two looking like they're in a bit of a battle here for 5th place, but they're a long way off of the top 4 at the moment. Lightblade's got a bit of a gap. Cordeo has got his hands full here with Scuderia Paul and Maroon really hassling the back of him. Scuderia Paul looking to try and get this position back if he can up into P2. Maroon is on the fringes of those podium spots at the moment. Morphe there running in 7th place with Slow Wolf and SD12 Dash in hot pursuit at the moment. But we're going to watch this battle going on here between 2nd, 3rd and 4th as Maroon's dropped a little bit of time to Cordeo and Scuderia Paul on this lap so far. Xander Flanders says yes, Cordeo, go, go, go. Cordeo currently on a charge here. He needs a good result tonight, does Cordeo. Really, he needs to be winning this race. He needs to be taking maximum points and closing that gap to the championship leader Jonathan Reed if he is to retain his GT3 title. Obviously Cordeo, as we said before, the GT3 champion, the reigning GT3 champion here at Motive. He'll be wanting to do everything he can to become a double GT3 champion, but as we say, Jonathan Reed got a big gap. Even with his absence this week, he'll still be leading this championship regardless. As we see, Maroon's got ahead of Scuderia Paul, so Scuderia Paul must have made a mistake there coming out of Clearways. He's dropped down to 4th place. Maroon up into the podium spots there, and Paul not having the best lap there for sure, as he's got Didi in the background. Raki still on the back of DDTKU coming up towards Druids Corner. Morphe coming through Paddock Hill has got Slow Wolf just behind SD12 Dash, so SD12's done Slow Wolf there coming in towards Paddock Hill. Slow Wolf looked like he went around the outside of Paddock Hill there. Must have been a brave move, and ultimately that has promoted SD12 Dash up into 8th place there ahead of Slow Wolf. In the meantime, Cordeo's taking a little bit of time out of Lightblade. He's gained 2/10 coming through that first sector there, so it's pretty tight between these two. Cordeo showing that he's definitely got the talent to take the win in this race. These two gapping Maroon a little bit in 3rd place. He's 3 seconds behind Cordeo at the moment. He's in turn has gapped Scuderia Paul, so it's kind of just everyone's just pulling away from each other at the moment, but Cordeo is keeping tabs with Lightblade for the time being. Raki still on Didi at the moment, 7/10 of a second between these guys in 5th and 6th places. You've got Morphe with heavy pressure from SD12 Dash, as SD12 has got Slow Wolf looking to try and make the move back on him here, coming through this tricky middle sector of the lap, but for the time being he's not able to get a move done here. He's just having to tuck back in for the time being. Oh no, it's Morphe's deep. Morphe's very wide there, and he's going to lose out to both of them there. Morphe down to 9th place as SD12 and Slow Wolf both move through up into the positions in 7th and 8th places respectively, and Morphe there having an absolute mare. He's going to have to regroup and go again. That's not what he would have needed at all there. In the meantime though, Lightblade has got a 1.8 second gap at the moment to Quideo. It's keeping him more or less at arm's length, but Quideo's been a little bit quicker over the course of the last couple of laps. Sander Fander says my house is on Quideo to pull this off. Clearly he has confidence in Quideo at the moment. The gap is 1.666 between those two, and Quideo is continuing to bring that gap down as we speak. Really mean Quideo, says Sander Fander, very much getting behind Quideo at the moment. Sander Fander, one of our regulars on a Wednesday night in the GT4 League, also always comments and gives us support here on the streams. Big thank you, mate. He's always chiming in, seeing how we're doing and getting behind his friends out on the track. We've got Pete Bibb says needs to stay in a 2-second mark. Really, yeah, he needs to stay more or less in touching distance. The pit stops could be key to this. I wonder if either of them are going to opt not to change tyres, seeing as the track temperature is pretty cold. The tyre wear is not going to be such a prevalent issue at Brands Hatch tonight, so we could be seeing some drivers gambling on doing the whole race on one set of tyres and having just that a little bit of a quicker pit stop. I suppose when you think about it, once we get to the pit window, we're going to have probably about, I'd say 23, 24 laps left in the race, maybe 22 laps left in the race from that point. So it's really about just calculating it in your head. If you can keep the tyres going, and you can average you can keep the loss of time within a quarter of a second a lap from the pit window all the way to the end, compared to the guys who change tyres, then you're onto a winning strategy. But it's just fine margins really, and it's going to be a very, very difficult decision for these guys. But Lightblade and Quideo currently matching each other's every lap time at the moment. These two pretty much inseparable in terms of their outright pace, but Lightblade, for a bit of luck for him, managed to pull out that gap in the first couple of laps, as Quideo had to negotiate Scooter Report and Maroon and get himself up into P2. So Quideo's had to do this the hard way, whereas Lightblade got that clean run through the first couple of laps and managed to pull out the gap as a result. But these two, 2.2 seconds separating them at the moment. Raki's still running just ahead of Didi at the moment, 4 tenths between these two as they're coming to the end of the back straight. Slow Wolf has still got Morphe on the back of him, but ST12 just kind of gapped these two a little bit now. ST12's got a 2-second gap to Slow Wolf and Morphe. Rompu, after that spin on the first lap down in P10, is going to be in a long white race for him as he tries to pick his way back through. He's got ahead of Nilsson now up into 10th place. Nilsson down to 11th, and Spuzz is starting to close a little bit on Nilsson as well. So Nilsson's going to have that BMW, the only BMW in the field of Spuzz, will be putting up on him pretty soon, I would imagine, and Spuzz is going to be looking to try and get himself into that 11th spot. Stone's still going in P13 in that number 71 McLaren after a turbulent first lap. We saw him getting involved in a bit of a scuffle with Rompu on first lap. I don't know whether they crashed into each other or whether they had separate incidents, but we saw both of them having a moment coming out of Sheens on the first lap. And Stone's had a nightmare in this race. He's behind Zaloba now. So Zaloba up into 13th place in the number 73 Bentley. But lap 7 of this race, Lightblade leads ahead of Quideo, 2.5 seconds the gap. Lightblade's pulled out a bit of a gap to Quideo over the course of this lap so far. So Lightblade really on it at the moment. Said to me in the Discord DMs before the race, he wanted to put on a show tonight. He wanted to show what he's capable of and make it exciting for the viewers at home. So let's see how that one goes. He's showing that he's really got some scorching pace at the moment though. Definitely not sandbagging or holding up at any point in this race so far. He's definitely looking to try and pull out the gap to the rest of the pack here. Maybe then he might try and save his tyres, and who knows, Quideo might be able to have a crack at him. But Lightblade's really pushing it for the time being. Raki there in 5th, still just ahead of DDTKU, 7 tenths of a second between those two. Rompu's still pretty close on the back of Morphe right now, and Nilsson has been passed by Spuzz, so Spuzz is up into 11th place and is now within 5 seconds of Rompu, who's running in 10th place. So Spuzz 5 seconds off of a top 10 spot at the moment. Raki's still running in 5th place, 7 tenths back to DDTKU as they're coming up towards clearways for the 8th time here in this race, as Lightblade leads coming up through Paddock Hill in towards Druids Corner. 2 seconds is gap to Quideo. Quideo took half a second out of Lightblade on the last lap, so Quideo definitely signifying intent to the race to Lightblade in these early stages. Only just over 10 minutes into this one, anything can happen. Round 9 of the season here for the GT3s at Motive. 8 people watching on the stream right now. Guys, if you like what you see, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the Motive Racing channel, join us at www.motiveracing.com if you want to get involved in the on-track action. We'll have leagues on PlayStation starting up next year. You can join for the latter stage of this season if you want as well, but we'll have leagues on ACC next season. I'm going to put out a poll soon. I've been meaning to do it for a little while actually, to the ACC players on the Discord here at Motive to find out what other leagues we could potentially have. Ones that I've kind of had my eye on is maybe an All Genetic Cup in the GT4 class, possibly a Super Trofeo, maybe a shorter GT3 championship alongside the one we've got here, maybe a shorter one, so like 2 sprint races as opposed to 1 longer race. Could maybe do the same for the GT4 as well, you know, just something a little bit different, you know, on a different night, just so there's more options and more opportunities, shall I say, for drivers to really get involved in some racing. If people can't race on Wednesdays or Sundays or whatever, there's more opportunities for people to get involved. Porsche Super Cup maybe could make a return if we've got enough people interested. You know, we'll put a poll up. We'll see what days people want to race. We'll see what categories people are interested in. If there's enough interest for different categories, then we'll get stuff up. We'll put stuff up on the sign up forms. Probably be going up in a couple of weeks, and we'll definitely have lots to get interested in. As we see, Pete Bibb there says, would be exciting if Cordeo can do a Hamilton. Absolutely. Well, Cordeo is within 0.8 of a second of Lightbait, as you say that there, Pete Bibb, so he's really got the hammer down over these last couple of laps. Looks like Lightbait must have made a mistake, because the gap came down by over a second just on that one lap alone, and the trajectory of Cordeo before this lap hasn't really been closing at that much of a rate. So that is some very strong pace there from Cordeo, and Lightbait's going to be looking over his shoulder pretty soon, I would imagine. These guys are gapping Maroon continuously. Maroon a long way behind these, currently sat in the final podium spot. He's fallen off of them by 7 seconds, so Lightbait and Cordeo in a league of their own at the moment. Scuderia Paul running in 4th place has got a bit of a gap back to Raki. Raki's now gapped Didi by a bit, so Raki's got 2 seconds back to Didi, although that's a second and a half, so Didi's gained half a second on him coming through that part of the track. SD12 there in 7th place has got half a second back to Slow Wolf. These two have been going at it for a little while here in this race. Morphy has dropped behind Rompu, so Morphy must have made a mistake there. Rompu's now up into 9th place, but Morphy's got enough of a gap back to Spuzz to not be too concerned in that position at the moment, I would imagine, as Cordeo is really close on the back of Lightblade now, only a 1/10 of a second as they came over the line. Wasn't able to get the move into Paddock Hill, and Lightblade defends the inside line coming into Druids this time around. So at the moment, Lightblade's clinging on by the skin of his teeth, but Cordeo on the warpath here tonight. So Anna Fander said he was wagering his house that Cordeo would be the winner by the end of this race. He seems to be pretty quick, and he's flashing his lights here at Lightblade. Bit of bravado, mind games coming into play here in this battle for the lead. Cordeo knows that he needs to take the opportunity here. He needs to get maximum points with Jonathan Reed leading this championship by quite some way. Cordeo is up against it here in these point standings. The reigning champion wants to go out there and defend his title, and if he doesn't retain it, then he wants to at least go out on his sword. But Cordeo within 2/10 of a second of the race leader Lightblade. Lightblade Racing is a late stand-in reserve for tonight. I say late stand-in, Lightblade's always there at the ready. I mean, he must practice these tracks, he must see what we're doing and then get a little bit of practice in before the races. But saying that, he is a perennial reserve. I don't know if perennial is the right word, I think it is, but he's generally a reserve in most of the races. Doesn't actually have a regular seat in any of our championships here at Motive, but he's always willing to jump into our GT3s, our GT4s, and our Porsche Super Cup before obviously that got before we had to end the season prematurely. Will Friedman did take the Porsche Super Cup and won his 2nd title. We need to update the Roll of Honour. I need to update the Roll of Honour from last season, to be fair. I actually don't know who came second. The whole reason, I'll be honest, the whole reason why I haven't updated the Roll of Honour, and again, this is no excuse because I had the whole summer before the points tables got updated to do this. This is no excuse, but the reason why I haven't done it recently is because I don't actually know who came 2nd and 3rd in the championships. I know who won. I know Cordeo won the GT3s. I know that Cheese Monkey won the GT4s. I know that Will won the Porsche Super Cup last season. I have no idea who came 2nd and 3rd, so I might just update the Roll of Honour with the winners from each of the championships. So for that particular season, it will just have the winners. It won't have the 2nd and 3rd, unfortunately, which is what we've done in the previous seasons for the Roll of Honour. So that will be, you know, not as informative as previous seasons have been. But you know, for sure it'll be all right. Won't be too. At least it will have the winners of the championships. That's the main thing. And obviously this season, Will Friedman did actually wrap up his 2nd Porsche Super Cup crown to become a double Porsche Super Cup champion on a Monday night, and we had to end the season prematurely, as we said, due to some complications with that. But right now, Lightblade and Cordeo really putting on a show here, half a second between them, and Lightblade has got his work cut out here as Cordeo is looking underneath him at the moment, coming over the line to complete the 11th lap of the race onto lap 12, 2/10 between them. Cordeo having a little look to the inside. Oh, Lightblade big slide onto the grass a little bit there. Has he got wide? He has, and Cordeo swoops up the inside into the lead lead of the race there. Lightweight just got a little bit wide coming into the corner. Ever so slightly clipped the grass and got a little bit sideways on the entry, and then the mid part of the corner he was on the gravel, managed to get it back on the track, but Cordeo has now got a healthy lead here. Got over a second to Lightblade. Lightblade there having a momentary lapse of concentration. That's all Cordeo needed to take the lead of this race. Now he can take the ball by the horns, take this race by the scruff of the neck. He's coming up on some traffic here. That's Stones in the foreground there, just in front of the two leaders, but Cordeo can now control this race. The champion of the GT3 division here at Motive on Assetto Corsa Competizione here on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 platforms has now got control of this one. Jonathan Reed, if you're watching this one, I'd be worried, mate. To be fair, I'd be getting back on the track as soon as I possibly could if I was in your position right now, because Cordeo is looking like a man in form. It looks like he's very strong around Brands Hatch here tonight, and who knows how quick he could be around the final 3 races of the season. But business end of the season, and you better be returning to the track as soon as possible here, buddy, because at the moment Cordeo looks pretty strong. But in the meantime, looking down the order, Rompu and Nilsson have dropped down the order behind Spuzz, so I don't know what's happened there. Morphy and Spuzz are both ahead of Rompu. Well, Rompu, to be fair, well, when Nilsson was dropping down the order before, he was already in 12th, but Rompu's dropped 2 positions, so he must have made a mistake somewhere. Doesn't appear to have damage, so hopefully for him it was just a spin and nothing more. But he's just in front of Nilsson at the moment. I don't know if he's just got the position back off of Nilsson just before that, but he is now kind of pulling up onto the back of well, no, he's nowhere near Spuzz, to be perfectly honest with you. He's just behind, no, he's not just behind anyone, he's actually nowhere near anybody at the moment. He's just pulling away from Nilsson. So Rompu there running in 11th place. He's about 3 seconds off of a top 10 spot at this moment in time, so not in the best position possible here. We've got Spuzz on the back of Morphy right now, 9th and 10th places in towards Clearways. Let's see what Spuzz can do here. Can he get a good exit out of the final corner? If he can, he might be able to get a run here on Morphy, or can he get a good exit out of Paddock Hill and try and get the run into Druids? As we see Morphy defending the inside line there, doesn't really need to. He's got enough of a buffer coming up towards turn 1. In fact, all that weaving around could get him offline, and that's done exactly that there. And Morphy wide coming through turn 1, a flash of the lights there from Spuzz as he's looking to the inside into Druids. Morphy very aggressive defensive driving as he closes the door there on Spuzz, and Spuzz can't get through at the moment, but Spuzz there was I don't know, not too impressed maybe with Morphy there, as he was all over the place coming through Paddock Hill and up towards Druids. But Morphy holding on to that 9th place ahead of Spuzz for the time being, and these two have now very much got Rompu on the scene here. Rompu's gained 3 seconds on him just to that last sector there, so it looks really did have to get out of it for each other there, but Morphy's still holding on here ahead of Spuzz for the time being. Rompu waiting in the wings as Spuzz now looks to the outside down the end of the back straight. Can he get around the long way here of this right hand corner, which I don't know the name of? I know some of the corner names around here. Brands Hatch. Oh, Morphy all over the place there, gets all over the grass, and that's all that Spuzz needed to get ahead of him, and Rompu follows him through there. Those two up into 9th and 10th, Morphy down to 11th, and that's not gone to plan there for Morphy at all. Spuzz still holding on just ahead of Rompu, but Rompu trying to recover positions that he lost a few laps ago due to a little mistake earlier on. Cordeo's gap to Lightblade 2 seconds, so since getting the lead earlier on, well, a couple of laps ago it was, that Cordeo made the move on Lightblade through Paddock Hill. He has since held on to it. He's done a absolutely superb job here tonight, has Cordeo. He chased after Lightblade. Lightblade got the clean break at the start of the race, managed to pull out a little bit of a gap. He was at about 2 or 3 seconds to Cordeo in the early laps. Cordeo just got the hammer down, got his head focused, and absolutely went after him, took the initiative, and has led the race for the last few laps. And Lightblade's definitely on the back foot at the moment, but we know that Lightblade can always find a little bit of resurgence. He's always got that talent and pace underneath him, and he doesn't really get a whole load of practice in for these races, so it's definitely going to be a possibility for Lightblade to just get a bit more confidence as this race goes on. Who knows, he could be a different driver after that pit window. We know that the pit window can always throw up a few chops and changes, which will affect the second stint for sure. But Cordeo leads 2.5 seconds over Lightblade at the moment. 3.5 seconds back to Maroon, who seems to have started to pick up the pace a little bit over the last couple of laps. The gap was a little bit more than that before. He's only 7 seconds off of the leader Cordeo, so Maroon has started to find a groove a little bit, and it's now closing the gap ever so slightly on Cordeo and Lightblade. Xander Fanda exactly pointing that out just as I clocked onto it there. We literally clocked onto that at pretty much the same moment. Xander Fanda pointing out that Maroon's getting closer, so that could be one to watch at the moment. SMT Maroon definitely not out of this battle for the lead, 5.8 seconds off of the lead. That was a hiccup at the moment, so don't count out SMT Maroon, that is for sure. The winner last week at Imola could be on for his second win here at Motive, but it's currently advantage Cordeo at this point. As we've got Nightbot there chiming in, saying if you like what we do, please support us on Patreon. Well, if you want to, don't have to. Obviously not mandatory. Dan Defender says Cordeo's race to lose now, in my opinion. Yeah, he's definitely got the box seat. And you said yourself earlier on, he's been doing practice for this race. Clearly up for the challenge, as we can see. Knows that this is his big opportunity to claw back some serious points in the championship. And he's absolutely on it tonight here, is Cordeo. With a win tonight, he'll go a clear second in the championship. Points table not recently updated as of yet. Hopefully we can get that sorted out. I haven't heard, well, I'll be honest, I mean, I'll be transparent with you guys, I haven't heard a whole lot from Will Friedman as of late. The Porsche Cup, obviously his league on a Monday night did have to get cut short a little bit early, so he's obviously been our standings man over the course of the last season and a half, really. So I don't know whether or not I don't know really what he's up to be honest, but hopefully we can get on the phone to him, so to speak, after the race and see what's going on with those. But the championship standings obviously not official. Cordero's done his own championship standings, but not 100% on what the official championship standings are at this point. As we see Didi in the pits before the pit window, so that is going to really bite him on the bum there. Didi's come in very early here, and the pit window he would have only had to wait a couple of laps, but clearly the damage too severe for him to even contemplate staying out there for another 2 laps. So he's come in at the end of lap 15. Cordero is still going around, 3 seconds is his gap at the moment over Lightblade. Scuderia Paul's got Raki really reeling him in here. These two running in 4th and 5th places at the moment. These two have been going at it for 4th and 5th for a little while. Raki's just fallen back behind Scuderia Paul. Didi's still sat in that pit box, still undergoing repairs there. Disaster for his race in that number 36 Porsche. Didi regular in the Porsche Super Cup before, obviously it folded a couple of weeks ago. Pete Bibb says Freeman isn't well, he had a cold. Yeah, he wasn't there on Wednesday for the GT4s, which allowed Cheese Monkey to really pull the gap in the championship. So Freeman's got work to do in the GT4s, but hopefully he's feeling a little bit better at the moment. I haven't heard from Freeman actually for a few days, so I have to check up on him. But so in terms of the GT3s, obviously we started off the season with Sergei Zainlov as the coordinator. He was the coordinator for last season, did an excellent job last season with the coordinating, but this season he's gone to uni, so he had to retire from the staff team mid-season, which obviously we understand. You know, he's got other things on in his life that are a little bit more important than racing on an online game. You know, you need to get other things straight before you're able to focus on something like this. But fair play to him, he did an excellent job during his summer break last season for the GT3s, but right now it's kind of just myself and Freeman sharing the GT3s. I don't know, I might take it over permanently. I might just say, look, we don't need a coordinator for GT3s, maybe I'll just take this one because I'm usually here on a Sunday. I've got to commentate anyway, so might as well take the reins on the GT3s, to be honest. It makes more sense. Means a little bit more stress than just being able to rock up and commentate, but hey, at least the league will be organised and there'll be a good place for the drivers to take part in some good racing. As we see right now, the race is just sort of, the action just petering out ever so slightly. We've got Morphy on the back of Spuz at the moment, bit of a gap back to Zadova, but Morphy's trying to pressure Spuz for 9th place, as we've got pit window is now open, so drivers can now come in and make their mandatory pit stops at any point between now and the next 10 minutes. So between minutes 25 and 35, as always here at Motive in our 1 hour races on ACC, that will be the point where drivers can come in and get their pit stops done and out of the way. At the moment, Cordero's got a 3.7 second lead over Lightblade and continuing to put out that gap since making that move about 6 or 7 laps ago now, I think it was, that he got past. So he's just been steadily increasing that gap by around half a second a lap. But you know, that could really those tables could easily turn and seesaw around a bit before the end of this race. We just don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next here. One thing I know though is that it's going to be absolutely spellbinding stuff between now and the end of the race. Not even halfway into this race, and so far, story of the race, Lightblade led the early laps from pole. Cordeo managed to get ahead of Both got ahead of Maroon and Scuderia Paul up into second place, then chased down Lightblade, took the lead coming through Paddock Hill as Lightblade went a little bit wide onto the gravel. Since then Quideo has controlled this one, Lightblade into the pits to make an early pit stop there, so not opting to go midway, he's opting to come in a little bit before the midway point here, trying to get the undercut here on Quideo if he can. I wonder if he's changing tyres potentially. As I said earlier on, that maybe the strategy to stay on the same tyres could be a winning one here. With the track temperature being as low as it is, tyre wear is going to be almost a non-issue here, so yeah, that could definitely throw up a few unpredictable changes once the pit window ends. Who knows what we're going to be seeing once this pit window's done. We could be seeing Lightblade in the lead and Quideo having to chase him down all over again, as my computer is just turned off, which is very annoying indeed. But Lightblade, Slow Wolf, Zaloba and Stones all in the pits at this point. So Zaloba and Nilsson has done a pit stop. Nilsson's already been in, so he just came in completely under the radar there, slipped underneath our systems, and has already gone and done that pit stop there. Very stealthy there from Nilsson, as Lightblade's to the end of the pit lane now into Paddock Hill Bend, and maintains. He comes out in third. No, I don't know. I'm just gonna stop. Scuderia Paul and Raki separated by 1.6 seconds at the moment. Slow Wolf and Stones both still sat in the pits, as we see Slow Wolf sat in his box at the moment. Stones also sat in his box, not moving at this point. There we go, he's off and away once again. So Stones off to the end of the pit lane and is coming out of the pits there into Paddock Hill he comes. So Quideo race leader, 5 seconds is his gap to Maroon at the moment. Both of these two still need to pit, as does Scuderia Paul, Raki, SD12-Rompu, Spuzz, Morphe. Lightblade, the highest runner of those who've been into the pits. He'll be trying to get the undercut on Quideo if he can. The gap was just under 4 seconds before Lightblade came in, so he'll be hoping that he can gain enough time on Quideo on these outlaps, and Quideo obviously staying out for the time being. I can't imagine that Lightblade would have not changed tyres, to be honest with you. With the undercut, changing tyres is really the big kind of like ace up your sleeve. So I wouldn't imagine that he wouldn't change tyres, if I'm honest with you. I think that he'll want to put fresh tyres on, go quicker for a couple of laps than Quideo, and then maybe with those extra couple of laps on fresh tyres, possibly put an undercut. But we see Quideo into the pits now, so he's on his way in, as Lightblade's almost dropped a lap there to Quideo, but that is the amount of time that you spend in the pit lane. It's quite a long pit stop here. So Lightblade still going around here at the moment on the exit of Druids, has got a bit of traffic here in front of him, and that's Zaloba there just in front of him, and Slow Wolf is in front of Zaloba, so this is going to play havoc with Lightblade here. Not what he would have needed at all. Lightblade trying to make hay while the sun shines here and trying to get the undercut on Quideo, but he's not going to be able to get it done here on Zaloba, as we see Slow Wolf getting well out of the way there. So Slow Wolf drops behind Zaloba. Zaloba up into P10. Still hasn't let the leader of Lightblade, the car that's lapping him through. Quideo, where is he at the moment? He's off and away already. Oh, Lightblade has had a mare in the pit window then. I don't know what happened during Lightblade's pit stop, but he's come out a long way behind Quideo, and Quideo has now basically got this one on a plate, I think. I did think to myself, the gap between them after Lightblade's pit stop seemed a bit much. It was almost a lap between them. Quideo was just coming into the pits as Lightblade was starting his lap, so he'd almost lapped him after Lightblade's pit stop. I was thinking to myself, that's a little bit much, and obviously Lightblade had a horror show of a pit stop. He's now about 25-30 seconds give or take behind Quideo at this point, so Lightblade's going to have a fight on his hands just to get onto the podium here. Maroon has managed to close the gap to Quideo a bit, so Quideo must have had a not so great pit window himself, as he's got Maroon not too far behind him. We said earlier on, Xanafan has been talking about Maroon, been mentioning the possible threat of SMT Maroon throughout the course of this race. He could really be a factor in this one, as he's not too far off the back of Quideo and gained 2 tenths coming through that middle sector there. So SMT Maroon certainly showing that he's got the credentials to win this race, as he's not too far away from Quideo. He's going to need to really fight for this one. He's going to need to keep himself on his toes and not get too complacent out the front, or what will be the front once SD12 comes in, as Scuderia pulls into the box and is making his pit stop right about now. His battle is really going to be with, I'd say, probably Lightblade, to be honest with you, or maybe Raki, is Lightblade's 12 seconds clear of Raki, so yeah, I'd say Scuderia Paul's probably going to be battling with Raki for what would be P6 or no P5 once SD12 has made his stop, I would imagine. So SD12 should be coming in this lap or the next. Rompu's coming in now, so he's coming in and getting his pit stop done towards the end of the pit window. So it's just SD12 now that's got to come in and make his pit stop before we get to the end of this pit window. Quideo, your leader though, only by a second. SD12 in the lead of the race, but SMT Maroon could be the party pooper for Quideo here in his quest to try and close the points gap to Jonathan Reed and Jonathan Reed's absence this week. Pete Bibb says, did seem a long time in the pits, obviously referring to Lightblade there. Yeah, it was a long pit stop for sure, and that could cost him some serious time once we get to the end of this race. Not 100% sure on how it's all going to pan out at the moment, but Lightblade within 0.3 of a second of Paul, so Paul has actually played a blinder in his pit stops. Lightblade's got ahead of him there, so Lightblade's up into 4th, has got the move done on Paul there, coming through the middle sector. So Lightblade up into 4th place. He's a long way off on the podium, but no, he will be on the podium actually. He will be on the podium because SD12 is coming in. So Lightblade onto the podium once again. Is going to have a battle with Scuderia Paul 1 Fields for the remainder of this race, but Quideo now leads the race. SMT Maroon though, really close on the back of him as the lap car there of Stones, I think, gets well out of the way. Yes, it was Stones, and Quideo has now got heavy pressure here from SMT Maroon. We saw Quideo chasing down the leader Lightblade in the first stint of the race. Lightblade's had a very sketchy pit window and is running now 24 seconds behind the leaders, so it's not gone to plan at all for him after he was in contention for the win with Quideo as he goes wide there out of Paddock Hill. But this is the battle here that we're all watching now. It's between Quideo and SMT Maroon, just under a second separating these two. This could be either of their races, to be fair. Don't know how this one's going to go. Can't even begin to predict what's going to happen here. Quideo is obviously highly champion of these GT3s, and his main championship rival Jonathan Reed not here. It's a big opportunity for him to close the gap in the point standings. He still wouldn't be leading the championship even if he took the win, but it would be a definite progress in his charge towards maybe overhauling the championship leader. But lap 23 of this race, indefinite as to how many laps we're going to have by the time we get to the end, but obviously a 1 hour race here for the GT3s on ACC Motive on the PlayStation 4 and 5. Guys, if you like what you see, if you're watching live right now, please drop a like on the video, show your appreciation for these drivers out there. 14 guys giving it everything, still going, still pushing, still believing that they can all get some more positions and points in this race. But Quideo has managed to pull out a bit of a gap to Maroon over the last lap or so. The gap now 1.6 between those two, so Quideo showing that he's got the upper hand at this point. Pit window is about to close, but it's not going to make any difference because the pit window is almost done and everybody's come in and done their pit stop. So it's not going to be a case of, oh, who hasn't done their pit stop. Everybody's come in, everybody's got the green marker next to their name. They've all got that green light which says, yes, you've done it, you've ticked off, you're in our good books, you've done what you're supposed to do, you've followed the rules, well done to you, here, have a cookie. But right now Quideo 1.6 is his gap over SMT Maroon at the moment. Lightblade running in the final podium spot, having been leading earlier on. Unfortunately for him, it all went wrong during the pit window. He can still sat in the final podium spot and can still do a good job here, some good points as a reserve tonight. He's putting out the gap to Scuderia Paul. Looks like he's got the upper hand on Paul in that battle. As in fact, that isn't even Paul behind Lightblade, that is Paul coming out of Sheen, so he's re-dropped time to Lightblade since the pit stops. Raki running just 4 or 5 seconds behind Paul at this point, could be bringing that fight to him over the course of the final stint of this race. Obviously stint 2 of 2, only a 2 stint race being 1 hour with a pit stop. Probably wouldn't even be a 2 stint race if there wasn't a mandatory pit stop, but Raki's going to be pushing this one in the final part of the race for sure. Pete Bibb says, any races on Motive after this one, Andy? Yeah, we've got GTEs tonight, mate. If you're up for it, GTEs on Project Cars. Daytona Road Course will be starting in about an hour for that one. I'll literally, as soon as this race is over, I will be jumping straight on Project Cars and hopefully getting a practice lobby up for 8 o'clock. and that'll be a half-an-hour practice session, public practice session, and then that will run up until 8:30, and then I'll open up the actual race lobby itself. And so, as I say, Daytona Road course for that one in the GTEs. If anybody watching this plays on Project Cars 2, fancies a race on Daytona Road, you've still got an hour to get some practice in on Project Cars 2, that is, then get over on the game, get some practice in while you're watching this stream. Keep this on in the background, listen in, keep track of what's going on out on the track. Quideo obviously leading by 1.7 seconds at the moment over SMT Maroon. So over on the back of Morphe, these two SMT teammates looking pretty close at the moment, but it's the main man in the SMT team in terms of pace. I don't know who's actually the chief of SMT. I get the feeling it might be Morphe, but I'm not 100%. I get that's the impression that I get, is that it's SMT Morphe, because he's got that admin thing in his Discord name. I don't know, I could be very wrong, I could be horribly wrong, but I get the feeling he's the main man. But SMT Maroon obviously flying the flag for the SMT team here in this GT3 championship. But he's lost a bit of time to Quideo over the last couple of laps. Quideo seems like he's got the upper hand on him at this stage in the race, but that could all change coming towards the end of the race. We just don't know what's going to happen. Pete saying in the comments he thought it's in it advertised, can't race, but he'll be checking it out, which is good to hear. Obviously look forward to seeing you on the stream for that one, mate. If anybody wants to jump into the GTEs on Project, I think we'll still have a couple of spaces. Not sure how many we're expecting for this one. But we'll obviously see once we get it open. I expect we'll have a couple of spaces. But battle at the front just petering out a little bit. Quideo pulling out the gap to SMT Maroon. The Lightblade's already pulled out 13 seconds since the pit window over Scuderia Paul. I wonder if Paul's got a bit of damage, or maybe he's made a couple of mistakes, because he's falling back into the clutches of Raki at quite a rapid rate here. SD12 Dash running in 6th, just under line, making amends after a very, very difficult race last time out at Imola for him. Rompu there running in 7th place. Damage limitation in this race after a very difficult start. Obviously got in a tangle on the opening lap with Stones. I think it was Stones he tangled with. So he's it's been a decent recovery drive here from Rompu. Spuzz there running in 8th place. We've got Zaloba 9th. Morphe dropping off the back of Zaloba a little bit. Now just over a second between those two. Slow Wolf in 11th still going after a very strong qualifying session. Has not been the race at all for him. It's gone horribly wrong since the first lap really for Slow Wolf. DDTKU in P12, Stones in 13th, and Nilsson running out the field in P14 still going, and will still get a very solid haul of points for finishing the race, with the fact that we are 6 drivers from a full grid. Gap between Quideo and SMT Maroon did briefly come down to 1.5 seconds. Oh my goodness me, Quideo's lost it! Quideo bins it! Coming through the right-hander, and that's giving SMT Maroon the lead. It looked like he has just put a lap on some lap traffic there, as Quideo gets it going once again, but he's now behind the lap traffic. I don't know if that was the lap traffic in his rearview mirrors distracting him a little bit, but whoever it was behind him followed suit and did the exact same mistake. But Quideo's come off worse in that one, and SMT Maroon now leads the race. Xander Flander is going to be absolutely gutted. He's going to be really upset about that one, because his main man, the one who he's been supporting in this comments section and getting behind, has now got work to do in the final part of this race. 20 minutes left in the GT3's round 9 here at Brands Hatch at Motive on ACC, and it's now all on Quideo. He's got to really put his finger out over the last third of this race, as SMT Maroon has now got a healthy gap out the front. A massive mistake there from Quideo. A lapse of concentration as he got a little bit too much onto the curb. The reigning champion has had a very uncharacteristic mistake there. SMT Maroon in the lead of the race, looking to try and make it back-to-back wins after taking last week's win at Imola. Could be on course to do that here at Brands Hatch tonight. We've got Scuderia Paul running in 4th place, 7/10 of a second is his gap at the moment over Raki, as they're coming up in towards Druid's Corner. Zaloba there in 9th place, has got about a second back to Morphe at the moment. So these two still going at it for 9th place. Quideo has already taken 2/10 back on Maroon in this middle sector here. So he's starting to already get back on the prancing horse Obviously, driving in that 1-1-1 Ferrari, he's going to be really pushing in these final few laps now. Correa needs to not make any more mistakes like that, though. Otherwise, it's going to cost him dearly. Obviously, he's now lost the lead and is no longer in the lead of this race, so he's no longer got control of this one. He's just going to need to throw caution to the wind. He gained 4 tenths through that final sector there, so Correa has immediately got himself back in the zone. He isn't stopping for a moment here, he isn't trying to catch his breath or anything. Pete Bibb says he missed it hopping in the bathroom. Oh mate, that's the worst time ever to go to the toilet. I tell you what, sod's law though, isn't it? Just as you go to the toilet, the action starts happening. Scuderia Paul running in 4th place, 6 tenths is his gap to Raki. Raki's continuing to put the pressure on him though. Paul's really had a bit of a capitulation since the pit stops. Been losing time, has dropped back off of Lightblade quite a lot. But these two have gapped ST12 Dash a little bit, so ST12 Dash falling off of the back of this battle for 4th. Currently sat in P6 at the moment. Raki's still trying to keep the pressure, but Scuderia Paul gained a little bit to that final sector there, pulled out 4 tenths on Raki coming through that part of the track. As Correa gained another 4 tenths on Maroon coming through the middle sector, so he's not giving up on this one, is Correa. He's still going. This is the corner where he messed up on last time around. Safely through this time. But this race now wide open once again. We've said it before, Correa has had the pace, but a little mistake, all it took, and Maroon has been so close to him throughout the course of this race. Those two very evenly matched, and that's all that Maroon needed. And as soon as it happened, Maroon was right there to capitalise on that, moved himself through up into the lead. Correa took a little while to get himself going again. He was stranded on the grass as he was trying to get the power down, and that compromised him. Also, a lapped car basically did what I call sympathetically spinning, which is where you follow the line of the driver in front of you instinctively, subconsciously. You just follow what the guy in front of you does, and that's exactly what the lap car was doing, and that caused the lap car to get in a bit of a tangle with Correa, I think, which kind of just knocked him back just a couple more seconds and stopped him from getting straight back onto it, if you like. So that cost him a little bit more time. But 3.5 seconds the gap, he's already gained a second over these last couple of laps. So Correa not stopping, not giving up in any way, shape or form. It's going to push this one all the way to the flag, you can bet on that. Lost a tenth though through that middle sector. Maroon was a little bit quicker through that part of the lap here on lap 30. 8 people watching the stream, guys. If you like what you see, drop a like on the video. Let's get this stream to 10 likes if we can before we get off air. Raki's still on the back of Scuderia Paul, 6 tenths of a second separating those two in that battle for 4th place. But 3.666 the gap between Maroon and Correa. Let's see what the gap is as they come over the line to complete lap 30. 3.8, so Maroon took back 2 tenths coming through that final sector there. As Raki pretty close on the back of Scuderia Paul right now. 3-4 tenths between these two coming through the middle sector of the lap. Raki will be looking to try and get a good run out of the final corner if he can. Maybe he can pounce on Paul. See what sort of run he can get through clearways. Paul looked like he got a good run coming through there, and Raki not in really any position to do anything about it. Through the middle sector though, Correa took a tenth back on Maroon, but Maroon looking like he's getting a little bit more consistent now at this point in the race. He's starting to get it together once again, keeping Correa very much away from him. He's more than comfortable at this point, is SMT Maroon. 3.7 seconds. Correa flashed the lights there on a back marker just in front of him. That I think is Rompu just in front. Yep, it is. That's the number 31 Porsche there, pulling off to the inside. Correa there makes that move around the outside. Easily done there. Rompu very clean. Experienced driver Rompu. Not often you see him a lap down, but when he is, he's very fair. And off and away Correa goes. Gap now down to 3.4. So Correa took 3 tenths out of Maroon coming through that final sector there. So clearly Rompu there didn't impede Correa in any way. In fact, he probably gave him a bit of a tow coming out of clearways onto the start finish, which gave Correa a bit of an advantage. Racky's still on the back of Scuderia Paul, 7/10 of a second between those two at the moment. Lightblade in third, haven't spoken about him much since the pit window, to be fair. It's had a bit of a lonely one since the pit window. He obviously started this race on pole and led the early laps, led the first 10 minutes of the race. Cordero then forced him into a mistake as Cordero reeled him in through those first few laps and ended up with Lightblade making a mistake coming through Paddock Hill, got a little bit wide onto the gravel. That was all Cordero needed to swoop up the inside into the lead of the race. Since then, Lightblade sat behind him for a few laps up into the pit window, and then Lightblade had what can only be described as a nightmare of a pit window. I don't know what happened to him, but he all of a sudden he did the undercut and went into the pits. Well, he tried to do the undercut. He went into the pits 4 seconds behind Cordero, and then once they both made their pit stops, he was all of a sudden 24 seconds behind him. Oh, somebody's lost it there. Somebody's out of shape. Coming through the middle part of the lap. I think it might have been Nilsson. As Nilsson's pulling off to the side of the road, is he going to retire the car? Hopefully not. But he seems to be slowing down here. So I don't know, maybe he's just taking a moment. Maybe typing out a text message or reading something on his phone, who knows. He seems to be slowing down a little bit here. Let's go back to the battle though, because Cordero is right on the back of Maroon here. Only 4/10 of a second between these two. Maroon must have made a mistake there coming through the final sector, because the gap half a second between these two. Cordero's made real gains here, and this is now race on once again between these two. Incredible developments here as Nilsson pits at the end of what is his 27th lap of the race. Not been a race at all for Nilsson, but this is the battle for the lead here. This is for top honours here at Brands Hatch here in the GT3s and Motive and ACC, and we see there Cordero using all of that curb. This is the part of the track where he made the mistake a few laps ago which lost him the lead. Seems like he's not taking any precautions through this part of the track, as we see there out of shape is Didi trying to get out of the way there, and does so very diligently. But up towards clearways we come. SMT still just ahead of Cordero at the moment. Pete Bibb says race on. It is indeed, as we see these two out onto the start finish for the 33rd time in this race. Up towards Paddock Hill once again, 4/10 of a second between these two. What can Cordero do here? Still not close enough to make a move on SMT Marine. These two so evenly matched. Both of them we know now have got a mistake in them. Neither of them has had a fully clean race. They've both made mistakes here and there. They've both had slip-ups. Neither of them is completely immune to a little run wide or possibly even a spin in the case of Cordero. But SMT Maroon must have had a pretty severe moment, because he lost 3 seconds on the previous lap. So now he's only got 3/10 back to Cordero, and Cordero really putting the pressure on here as we're coming down the back straight here. SMT Maroon's going to defend to the inside line, and Cordero can't get it around him. He's just looking everywhere, looking to try and distract him in the mirrors a little bit, looking to the inside there. SMT Maroon just covers that line and gets a much better exit out of the corner, as Cordero took a little bit on the run into the corner, and that compromised him on the exit. And Cordero all over the place there. He needs to be doing less of that if he is to take the win here. Keeps himself within a second as SMT Maroon clouting over the inside of that right hand. Oh, he's wide. SMT Maroon is wide, coming through the third to last corner of the last track. And oh my goodness me, he taps him a bit in the rear there. But Cordero squeezes through back up into the lead of the race. Great racing from these two. Cordero now leads once again. The man who won the championship last season, the reigning champion of the GT3s, takes the lead here at Brands Hatch. Round 9 of the season, these two having a great little battle. It all started to go off as Cordero ran wide coming through the previous set of corners and looked like he dropped almost a second behind SMT Maroon, and SMT Maroon maybe getting a bit complacent, just whacked the inside of their right hander coming in towards the, well, just as you come into the final sector really, he whacked the curb. He was on all over the grass there, got a big slide on. Cordero managed to get the inside for the penultimate corner, and he's got the lead once again. Incredible stuff here. So it's going back and forth between these two, but Cordero once again with the lead. Kevy says hi, as usual. Hello mate, welcome along. If you want to join the racing, go to www.motiveracing.com. We've got 6/10 between these two at the moment. Cordero and Maroon really having a good battle here. Scuderia Paul's still got 6/10 to Raki. Raki still hasn't found a way through ahead of him at the moment, but he's continuing to put that pressure on as they're coming in towards Paddock Hill at the moment. 7/10 separating Cordero and SMT Maroon at the moment though, and this one looks like it's set to go down to the wire between these two, as SMT Maroon's not giving up. He's still keeping that pressure on Cordero for the time being. One man who we've really missed tonight is JR. He did comment earlier in the stream saying let's go team run DJC Racing, but it's a shame really. JR's usually popping up in the comments non-stop. Usually we're having a conversation, usually we're having a back and forth. He writes a comment, I respond to it. We're usually talking back and forth on these streams, but tonight we haven't seen too much of him. Hope you're well, mate, if you're watching. If you're not, then obviously that's a shame really, but we understand that you've obviously got your own life, so it's understandable that you're not sat here watching a sim racing stream on PlayStation, but miss you anyway. But right now, with 8.5 minutes left to go here in this race, it's looking like it's race on. Big thank you to Pete Bibb and Xander Fanda tonight. Those two have kept us company throughout the course of this race. Derby Bay obviously commented earlier on, one of our races on a Friday night in the F1 League. Credeo just opened up a little bit of a gap now, just over a second between these two leaders, as they were just putting a lap there on a back marker who I think was Stones. Racky's still on the back of Scuderia Paul at the moment. 0.6 of a second separate those two at this point. Brilliant action for the boys tonight though. Quadero's still just keeping Maroon at arm's length at the moment, just over a second separating these top two with 7 minutes left on the clock. Cheers Pete Bibb, mate, appreciate that. So yeah, we've still got 1.6 seconds with Quadero and SMT Maroon. Scooter Paul's gapped Raki a bit as well, so the leader of the gapping SMT Maroon. We've also got Paul now putting a bit of breathing space between himself and Raki. Having said that though, that doesn't look like breathing space. Raki's just reeled him a little bit coming to the final sector there, gained 4/10 on Paul through that part of the track alone. So this is still race on here for 4th and 5th. Paul by no means out of the woods, in no position to take a deep breath and relax just yet. Still very much under the cosh from the man in P5 behind him. This man Quadeo starts lap 38 of this race, has now got over a 2-second lead to SMT Maroon, almost 2.5 seconds between these two. Quadeo has really put the hammer down over these last few laps. Has he got that little bit in reserve, which he's now going to show, and is he going to go away with this race? Cecil over there into the pits here at the end of lap 37, or lap 34 for him. Obviously pit window closed 20 minutes ago, so Cecil over maybe putting some damage repairs, or possibly he's thrown in the towel with a couple of laps left in this race. But Quadero's got 2.3, Maroon's gained about a 10th so far on this lap. It's not going to be enough to win this race. He needs Quadero to make another mistake, but I don't think Quadero's going to make another one here. I don't think he's going to allow SMT Maroon another shot to try and get him. I think Quadero's learned his lesson on that one and should be able to see this one home. Hopefully he's learned from his mistakes and it's going to keep it clean from here on in. If he does, then I see no reason why he can't get to the flag and take the plaudits. See, Raki's really gained again on Scuderia Paul. Just 0.2 of a second between these two. Raki's been on him like a car bonnet for these last few laps. Driving in the number 14 Lexus, the only Lexus in the field. Raki. Paul, one of 5 Bentleys in the field. The Bentley proving a very popular choice this season. So he's still very close. Is Raki on the back of Scuderia Paul over the line to complete lap 38 for these guys. Gap at the front up to 2.8, so Cordero still showing that he's very much got one hand on this race victory. SMT Maroon there running in second place, 2.2 seconds behind Cordero at this point. There's Lightblade, your man who put it on pole earlier on, led the first 10 minutes of the race. First few laps he looked like he had control, then Cordero put in a load of purple lap times, closed up onto the back of him, forced Lightblade into a mistake at this very corner, paddock hill. Cordero then proceeded to lead the rest of the first stint. Pit window came along, Lightblade pitted early and looked like he was going to try and get the undercut, to be honest with you, but that kind of just went a little bit Pete Tong, as I don't know what happened during that pit window, but he came out, well, after the pit stops he was 25 seconds behind Cordero, so really don't know what happened to him during that time, but he's obviously re-emerged in P3 since then and has kept it on the podium in the ensuing laps. Gap between Cordero and Maroon's come down a little bit. Maroon gained a second on that previous lap. Did Cordero make a mistake? If so, what kind of mistake? He's just putting a lap on some traffic here. Cordero's got a bit more traffic up ahead of him as well, so he's going to have to watch out here. Cordero might not have a clean run to the flag, as we see SMT Maroon just putting a lap on that traffic as well. Was that Nilsson there just being lapped by those guys? No, it wasn't Nilsson. That was actually Zaloba being lapped. In fact, no, it wasn't Zaloba. I just see Zaloba being overtaken there by the McLaren of ST12 Dash, I think. Yes, it was. But Cordero's lead to SMT Maroon 1.8 seconds. Oh, as we see someone in the foreground there all over the place. Coming out of turn 3. That was a big moment there for Nilsson as he went flying off onto the grass. And SMT Maroon didn't gain too much on Cordero in that little exchange there. Lap and a half left to go at Brands Hatch though. Cordero could be about to close the gap to the championship leader Jonathan Reed by quite some way here. The reigning champion of the GT3s set for a win here. Been a little while since we've seen this man on the top step. He's been missing the wins this season. I think he's only taken one win this season. I'm trying to think where that was now, you know. I'm pretty sure he's taken one win, but I can't for the life of me remember where it was. But Cordero, obviously the champion of the GT3s, has been a pretty strong driver throughout the course of the GT3s here at Motive. As he's now coming out onto the start finish straight and onto the final lap of the race. Gap now a second, so Maroon really gained coming through that last part of the lap. Oh no, well, this could really be a party pooper for Cordero. SMT Maroon though, to be fair, has driven really well. Last week took the win at Imola. Could SMT Maroon be on for his second win in the space of 2 weeks, or is Cordero going to hold on here? This is going to go down to the wire. It's going to be all the way down to the checker flag, you feel. Cordero will go second in the championship if he can hold off Maroon here, but these two pretty close in the standings. Oh, the championship standings were done. They are updated, I think. Yeah, they have been updated. They have been updated. Apologies to Will Friedman now. I thought they hadn't been. He must have done them the last couple of days or something. Maybe I just haven't. Maybe I've just been out of it. I don't know. Probably my fault here. Apologies to Will Friedman there. He has done the standings. They are updated. Cordero looks like he's going to overtake Maroon. He's going to leapfrog him in the championship standings as he's coming in towards the final few corners. He'll go second in the championship. Spurs with a difficult round tonight. Oh. We come out of the final corner for the final time. Credeo's driven an absolutely brilliant race. Hunted down Lightblade in the early stages. Got past him into paddock hill, forced him into a mistake. Credeo up towards the line, takes the checker flag here at Brands Hatch. He takes round 9 of the season for the GT3s here on ACC at Motive on the PlayStation 4 and 5. Maroon comes over and stick a second place and pushed him all the way to the flag there. Those two in a class of their own. Lightblade had the pace but got unlucky in the pit window. But Credeo taking him in ahead of SMT Maroon. Those two flashed the lights to each other, showing each other the respect after a great battle here. One of the best that we've seen here on the Motive channel on ACC this season. Excellent stuff there from the boys. Pete Bibb says nice drive from Cordero, well deserved win and podium. Absolutely. Lightblade comes over to complete the podium there in third place. SD12 Dash is going to come in towards the final couple of corners, and he looks like he's mugged Scuderia Paul and Raki. So did those two have an incident there? SD12 Dash is in fourth place. He's not coming into the final couple of corners yet. Rompu's finished in 7th. Spuzz 8th. Slow Wolf classified in 9th place. They had a DD in 10th. Morphe finishes in 11th. Nilsson and Zaloba have finished in 13th and 14th. Stones is coming up towards the line now to finish in 12th. As there he is across the line. SD12 though has managed to get ahead of Paul and Raki on this final lap here. So those two must have had a bit of a tangle. And SD12 says thank you very much. Into the final corner he comes. It's going to be a 4th place here for SD12 Dash. A flash of lights from him in the number 12 McLaren up towards the line. Scuderia Paul's going to come around to hold on for 5th. Just about, I think, Ed Raki. Oh, yes, he does. So SD12 Dash 4th, Scuderia Paul 5th, Raki 6th. And that is that for the race here, ladies and gentlemen. What a race we've had here tonight at Brands Hatch for the 9th round of the GT3s here on Assetto Corsa Competizione on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 here at Motive Racing. If you watched this for the first time tonight, if you enjoyed the action, if you want to get involved, then go to www.motiveracing.com. If you're one of the drivers watching this back afterwards, I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I did this justice and showed all the battles that you were involved in. But please guys, drop a like if you were one of the drivers in this race. Then be sure to share this with your friends and family. Get them to have a look at this. Show them what you're getting up to on a Sunday night. And as I say, drop a like, subscribe, do all that stuff. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Big congratulations to Cordeo, SMT Maroon and Lightblade on the podiums, especially the top two, who put on a hell of a show. Paul and Raki for the battle that they had throughout the race, getting mugged by SD12, who picks up P4 at the end. Great racing throughout and all around there. Drop a like, as we say, guys. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of the weekends, what's left of it, and we will see you soon. Peace.